going to start with a roll call of the board members. I'm here, John Negro, not here yet, and Alejandra, am I saying
Present.
that correctly?
Yeah.
Here, Allison Walsh,
Present.
here, Sarah,
Right here.
Reginelli,
Reginelli.
okay. Jasmine Higgins. Danielle. I believe that gives us a quorum, so we can get started. The first order of business is to approve the minutes of the September 12th meeting. I look for a resolution to approve them.
Oh, thank you.
Do we have a second on the minutes?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Corrections, additions, comments? Hearing none, I will say I'm going to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting. So hearing no comments or discussion, I move the resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passed.
Just for the record, no opposed, right?
I was also absent for last meeting, so therefore I'm not voting for this.
You're
Okay.
abstaining.
Do we still have a quorum?
Okay, we don't have a quorum unfortunately for that, so we could wait.
We'll wait until.
Well, I was not present at the meeting to vote for the minutes.
No, I understand. We still have a quorum to do it today. So
Okay.
when the next person comes in, we'll.
We'll bring it back.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Perfect.
No,
Mr. Chairman, would you mind if I just wanted to make sure that everybody realizes that we are live streaming our meeting today as required by law. And we will be recording this meeting. It will be posted to our website. We are joined today by a reporter from the Business Review, Luke Nathan. And so just, I just want to make sure everybody knew we were in a public session. Everything's recorded and just so everybody knows.
yeah, maybe we could introduce the.
Yes.
Mr. Owens and.
Peter, would you like to introduce?
Peter Pastore, I'm an attorney at O'Connell Ronowitz, and glad to be here.
Dylan,
Dylan Turk. I'm with the Alliance and staff for this authority.
Hello, my name is Adriana. I'm with the Alliance as well.
Joe Scott, Hodgson Russ, partner in the Albany office, and I'm your bond counsel. Good morning.
Antoinette Hedge, Executive Assistant at the Alliance.
Amy Thompson, I'm the CFO for the Alliance and the Authority.
Do you want to keep?
no,
Me? Oh, you introduced. Harold Island, shareholder at Greenberg Traurig, and I'm also counsel to the authority and interacting with the college and the bondholders.
okay.
And I'm Tom Owen, quickly. I'm the one who drafted most of the policies that I put you through the last meeting. So I'm counsel as well.
I see John Nigro has arrived, so we do have, a quorum to vote on the minutes. John, do you have any comments on the minutes from the previous meeting? No. Okay. Now we can vote on it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Passed.
Great. We'll go 4-0 and 2 abstentions.
Next, I'm going to turn this over to Tom Owens, our counsel, to discuss the election of our board officers, assistant treasurer, and assistant secretary.
So at last meeting, we did elect a chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. We did not elect assistants to either the treasurer or the secretary position. Our bylaws do provide that we would do so. So that's the resolution that would be before you today. We understand that Danielle Melendez has offered, thank you, to be an assistant secretary, and we understand that Alejandra Olina.
Let the record reflect that is not my name.
Yeah, what is it? So
It is with an A, Alejandra, not O.
Alejandra.
Very
good.
big difference, thank you.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Alejandra Paulino has volunteered to be an assistant treasurer. So what I'd like to do is do 2 elections, and then this resolution would reflect the results of those elections, and then state for the record all of the various board officers. Okay, so the first one, I would like, if I could, get a first and a second for, to nominate Danielle Melendez to the position of Assistant Secretary.
Moved by John.
Second,
I'll second.
okay, and I don't know who went first, we give them Ms. Walsh on that one. If I could get all those in favor of Danielle Melendez as Assistant Secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. All right, if I could get a second resolution, and this would be to elect Alejandra Polino as the Assistant Treasurer, and that would, I need a nomination, a first, and then a second, and then we will vote. So could I get a first for that, please? Mr. Janelli and Melendez. Great, Mr. Melendez. Okay. Could I, all those in favor of electing Alejandra Polino as the Assistant Treasurer, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you, passes. And then if I could just get a simple first and a second for this resolution, which just reflects all of the different officer positions that we now have elected in accordance with the bylaws. Could I get a first?
I moved.
Okay. Walsh, John. Okay, all those in favor of resolution 24-10-1?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, the next one is,
We note that we know
yeah, and we have another,
Jasmine has arrived.
Ms. Higgins, okay, just in time. So on resolution 24-10-2, which is the next item on the agenda, this is to appoint, in accordance with our bylaws and the committee charters that you adopted and approved last meeting. Each public authority is required to have at least 3 committees. These are the committees you see before you in this resolution: governance, finance, and audit. And each of the committees shall have at least 3 independent members on the committee that are to be board members. So independent means that you don't work for the authority, you don't work for an entity that gets money from the authority, that you don't lobby the authority, and that you don't have a relative that does one of those things. And we don't, as far as we're aware, have anybody that fits any of those characteristics. So each of the board members is a candidate for each of the 3 committees. We have had 3 people that have offered to serve as the chairpersons for those committees: Ms. Higgins for governance, Alejandro, again, with another correction to be made, for finance, and then it's Ms. Walsh, yeah, it's for audit. So those are the 3 that have offered to serve as chairpersons. Now, the board doesn't elect the chairpersons; the chair of the board does, but the board elects all the members. So the board has to elect the members of the committees before the chairperson gets to elect the chairs. That's how the bylaws work. Okay, so at this time, do we have anybody interested? We're going to need 3 for each committee. We could have the entire board sit on each committee. That's fine too. But I do need 3 to serve on each committee. So if
Why don't we just have the whole board be on there?
that's okay?
Yeah, just as a, practice, we do this with some of the other boards, and particularly with small boards like this, it makes it a lot easier to schedule the meetings and to get things done. It makes the dissemination of information goes a little quicker that way. So, but this is really the board's call, but there is a precedent for it, and it does make sense.
There's not enough people.
Right.
Well, what does that do to quorum requirements? If we have the whole board, then as the committees, that's going to require at least 4 people in attendance at every committee meeting. and I'm wondering if that's practical.
Well, what some of the other organizations do, Mr. Chairman, is hold their committee meetings at the same time they hold the board meetings. So,
Just prior, just after.
yeah, before or after, so that it kind of, it's less of a burden on each one of the board members to go to separate meetings, individual, which we could always hold anyway, but
Yeah.
there is a way
Well,
to.
I just want to
No, it's a
understand
good- right,
that before we move on that we are going to require at least 4 people be at a committee meeting. And I guess I'm
So you're
ex
ex
officio
officio
on
every committee anyways, so what that would mean is we'd have
Yeah,
like
3 more.
6 individuals to every committee, and then you're the ex officio on each committee.
I just wanted to understand that before we do that,
Right.
what we're
Committing to. Yes.
Committee?
Mhm.
So is that, if that's agreeable, then I'd like to, and we'll populate this resolution with the names of each board member and the chairs as indicated, and that will reflect what the board has determined that these committees, the individuals that would serve on these committees. So if I could have a first for resolution
John,
10-2,
John Nigro.
okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That's unanimously. All right, the final resolution for action today is 1003, which you'll also see in your package. This is to basically telling the CEO to issue a competitive, publicly advertised request for proposal to select basically bond underwriting services. So that's what you're authorizing the CEO to move forward with, the issuance of that RFP. That's what this in substance says. So I'll stop.
Just, you know, as Tom advised me, this is not absolutely necessary, but I really do want to have this be completely transparent here, and that everything that we as staff to the authority do on your behalf is something that, you know, has been discussed and approved by us. We are required to bid out for these services. You know, this could be a, you know, tens of millions of dollars of bonds that we issue as if and when we get to that point of acquiring any of the St. Rose, former St. Rose College properties, or current St. Rose College properties, right, Harold? They still own them.
They still own them.
But again, I just wanted to put that out there that, you know, if there's a question here, we're going to ask for the board's approval on things like this.
So you will ask for the board's approval, and that's then we give you the authority to.
Correct.
To just do the RFP.
This is the RFP, you're going to bring back a recommendation.
Exactly.
To the board would be voted on.
As to who that would be.
Do we have any time frame on
I would like to kind of front run this, you know, and we'll hear a little bit later about some of the timing pressures that are at play here in executive session, but, you know, there's no guarantee that we will ever issue any of these bonds, but if we do, I'd like to have an underwriter selected so we could pull the trigger and
familiarize themselves and be ready to go? Okay. Any other questions on this resolution? Concerns, comments? Hearing none, I guess we'll look for
Yes, sir. If we could get a first.
First.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Could I please indicate, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all. The next item is the CFO report. Amy Thompson.
Just a couple of things to report on. I reached out to M&T Bank and had a meeting with them this week. So we're gonna go ahead and set up the bank account there. Make sure that, you know, all the appropriate fraud protection measures are put onto all of the accounts, and have 2 signers on the accounts when they are opened. The second thing is Dylan and I will be working, on a budget for the colleges and figure out how much it's gonna cost to operate on a monthly basis and so forth.
Yeah, Amy, if you will, this is a key piece of work that needs to be done. If the authority is successful in acquiring the properties of the College of St. Rose, there is a cost to operate these properties throughout the period of ownership. We've discussed this with your chairman, and it's probably prudent, and this is certainly something for discussion, that we would have to assume that we might likely own these properties for as much as 2 years. And during that period of time, we have to maintain them, we have to secure them, and, do all things necessary to keep these properties in the shape that they're in, not the least of which reasons is for the, purpose of redevelopment. So whatever that amount is, and Dylan and Amy are working through that now, we would capitalize that in the bond issuance, whatever that is, so that we would have that money available. As you all know, the authority has no money right now. It's being funded out of the Alliance. But the idea is that the authority's operating revenues would come from the bond issuance as if and when we get to that point. Anything you'd like to add to that, Mr. Chairman?
No, I think you need
So
to.
only if we take ownership.
Right.
Right. And then that money would come out of the bonding?
Correct.
Within the 80 million, or is it above that?
Within the 8 million, that's our cap.
I'd be capitalized over time.
Right. I mean, does the 2-year time frame seem to resonate with people? I mean, it may be shorter, but I'd rather have.
On the date of my birth certificate, I'd say 2 years is enough.
I think we got to plan for a reasonable period of time. I think we're going to learn what we're up against in terms of schedule as things are going to move and under the auspices of the court and other things like that. We don't have complete control of the schedule. So I think 2 years is
At least 2 years.
at least, right.
I think realistically, the way contracts move alone,
Right.
separately from those.
Oh,
So-
okay, so everybody at peace with that?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that in doing the budget, we should know what that is, because all of a sudden 80 million becomes 70 million because of the interim expenses of maintaining the property. It has an impact on our budget. Absolutely reject that.
In some preliminary conversations we've had with our bond counsel, Joe Scott, Joe, feel confident and feel free that we can issue these bonds in a way that they can be retired in certain increments of time. If, for example, if we sold the properties off, we didn't need the operating income, we could pay those bonds off, right, Joe? And we could.
That's correct, Kevin, and that's why it's important, going backwards for a second, to get the RFP out so that you can get an investment banker as part of your finance team, so that you can be working through these structural issues and review alternatives and options to address the business issues that you need to address as you move forward with this matter.
Are you?
Yep, that's all that I have.
Moving on, Kevin O'Connor.
Yeah, I have no further, nothing further to report, Mr. Chairman. I would request that the board enter into an executive session and discuss this with council. Tom, would you like to state the reasons for doing so?
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. One is going to be to discuss the potential acquisition of properties, the publicity of which would substantially affect the value. And second, the board would receive legal advice during such executive session, which actually would be exempt from the open meetings law anyways, beyond executive sessions. But those are the 2 reasons we're going to go out of a public session. So, but I would like to get a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the potential acquisition of real property. properties, the public, the publicity of which would substantially affect the value thereof.
Anyone want
I need a first, okay? Anybody else?
second?
Okay, can I get a vote? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're now
Okay,
entering executive session.
should we
Do you anticipate